visual artist, acupuncturist, and lives in Portland. She's gleaned all kinds of influence and danger and dare from classes with the likes of Tom Spanbauer and Lydia Yukevich and the Portland poet Brat Pack. And she's hungry for more. Look out for her writing coming up out of the soil this summer, Unearthed, Exposed, and Wriggling. Please welcome to the stage Liz Greenhill, everybody.
Thanks to Backspace and fellow other writers, and to Zach Ellis for inviting me here. And thanks to everyone for coming. This is a short fiction piece called Drag Me a Mommy. It's not my mom's fault that I wish she was a big black drag queen. The queen I want my mom to be is named Kitten with a Whip. She's real and she lives in New York City. You can't change people and you can't trade them in. And the family, I guess you can't really let them go unless you've got really good reasons. But if I could, I'd erase my mom from my family portrait and I'd draw a kitten in her place. I take extra care penciling in Kitten's wide brown eyes, her strong jaw, the tall rim of her lips. I'd watercolor her warm brown skin. I'd paint her eyeshadow like bird wings, just like she wears it. I'd sketch out her hair real big and fluffy like she likes it. My mom is nice, don't get me wrong, and pretty enough, in a frosted kind of way, but a hug from her is a delicate bump and a hula hoop of ballerina arms. My maternal ideal isn't cool and crisp. It's wicked and sweaty. What I crave is a hug like a heat wave. I want it full of muscle from a body that knows how to weep. They might both smell like hairspray and Maybelline, but I want a mom that underneath it all smells like a hot-blooded man. When I was 5, I stood straight up still in a shiny purple leotard and sickly pale pink tights at the bar in ballet class. The teacher came from somewhere in Eastern Europe, and she'd smack you on the butt with a ruler if your posture was off. I liked that part of the smack. And I liked the way her eyebrows left up in a ferocious arch when you didn't do it right. She'd scowl and curse at you and rap her ruler on the bar. Her spit glittered on the wooden floor, a constellation of passion splayed out for our young eyes to map. I wanted someone to decipher that code for me. I wanted a field guide to passion, a map to the heartland, but I couldn't ask my mom for that. My mom doesn't speak that language. She doesn't brim with fury. She doesn't ride or gyrate or flare. My mom is composed like a cool glass of iced tea with exactly 4 ice cubes and a long silver spoon. My mom is Sally Field and Steel Magnolias with a touch of Mike Myers and coffee talk. I know that might sound unlikely, but if you grew up Jewish in South Carolina like I did, you'd know what I mean. When people came to the house, we'd sit on the porch and drink iced tea and worry together about everything and everyone we could think of. If Kitten with a Whip was my mom, she would hold me like a baby and shape me like clay. Her long nails would preen me into something beautiful and fierce. She'd embellish me with glitter, the sparkling symbol of passion. Kitten could teach me resilience, how to reinvent myself over and over until I changed to something stronger. Someone strong enough to stand without apology. Someone strong enough to be soft again, fluid, changeable, something slippery as wet love. Kitten molding me into myself, her teeth glowing white in the dark, her hot whiskey sour breath. Kitten could teach me, I bet, how to outrun even my past. Her arm bra is all taut and muscle. I bet she could hold an anvil of effortless grace. If I was Kitten's child, she would have held me in her lap. I could have traced the sequins on her shirt with my pinky, held her face in my sticky little palms and brought our noses together, fluffed her hair and squealed with little kid delight. I could have buried my teary face in her bosom and clutched her dress like it was my own baby blanket or the edge of my world. I could have kissed her endlessly. The first girl I kissed was waiting for me in a closet. She said to meet her there. I did. I followed her instructions and I opened the closet door and went in. I felt her arm curl around my waist, her fingertips lie on my spine. The door closed and we were squished there in the dark, her breath warm as campfire against my cheek. Her mouth wafted into my mouth. Her fingers traced the edges of my body, the lines of muscle in my neck. Her hands moved up to hold her head and my hands moved up to hold her head and pressed her tighter to my mouth. When someone opened the door later and the light came in, they saw us entwined on the floor, a crumpled tangle of clothes and body blinking. The light that flooded in, it changed me. I was with her, this girl with fingers like feathers and hungry lips, and yet suddenly I was alone. For the first time in my life, the little silver ghost mom who'd been stationed invisibly but undeniably over my left shoulder, she left. That mom face peering down on me with a perpetual look of disdain like I had a big spot of mustard on my shirt and didn't know it. Gone. That blast of light bleached her away. I was free. Well, so then I kissed all the girls. When I was a girl and looked like a boy, I wanted to be a drag king dressed as a drag queen dressed as a drag king. I wanted to fuck with people's ideas of gender and make the whole thing sexy. I imagined myself on the slim black platform stage of a little bar on Christopher Street, stripping off my lady clothes to reveal my man clothes and then some tiny black lace underneath. I was 19 and I had the slim hips of a Cub Scout and 1920s tits. Luminous skin, but I really had no idea that I might be something beautiful. I looked in the mirror and saw a face, a body, as if it had no relation to me. I looked into my eyes and a flatness pressed my body past the mirror to the wall. That girl on the wall didn't seem to recognize me. So I lay on my bed, closed my eyes, and began my performance. I'd imagine the music I'd slip to while I artfully removed my costumes one layer at a time. The whole audience held captive to my allure. It's a dream to be admired. That summer I lived in New York. I was almost a young adult, but really still a teenager. I used to go to a diner at the far end of Avenue A where a big, beautiful black drag queen named Miss Lulu fed me. She'd see me walk in the door after my shift at the movie theater, and she'd plunk down a bowl of mashed potatoes with portobello mushroom gravy on the counter. She'd say, "Come on, child, give it up." All southern and drawn out, child, and my heart would melt. A puddle of gravy lumped in my chest, shaped like Alabama. I always wanted to see Miss Lulu perform at Lucky Chang's, her other job, but I never had enough money to go there, and I was too shy to ask her if she could pull a string for me. I was eating chickpeas out of the can most nights. I wasn't at the diner sitting on a silver stool spinning in my summertime. Some nights I go with Gary to the Crow Bar, a bear bar on Avenue B. At the Crow Bar, nobody gave me a second glance. I was a girl who looked kind of like a boy, but not enough like a boy to capture anyone's attention there. At the Crow Bar, it was like I was invisible. I felt so comfortable there being unnoticed. It was like how everyone always says they wish they could be a fly on the wall. At the Crow Bar, I was. I was the pair of moving eyes in the creepy oil painting in the great room. I walked through the crowd like I was floating, sliding past sweaty, hairy guys, watching big thighs bulge out of strips of black leather. I'd make my way over to Gary, where he sipped his gin and tonic at the bar, his legs crossed with slim blonde reserve. Gary didn't date guys at the Crow Bar, but he liked to go there. I never asked him why. I think he was just learning to be gay, and being at the Crow Bar helped him, like how you can't learn to swim if you don't get in the water. Other nights after my shift, at my other job dishing ice cream, I'd go to the convenience store by NYU where they never carded. I'd buy Foster's and sip it from a brown paper bag, trying to look tough, rugged, alone, fearless. One night like that, I met up with Gary, and we both were drinking Foster's on the street, me like a motherless child, and he like a fatherless child, and we had a fight. Gary was wearing new bright white go-go boots, but he still hadn't paid me back the money he borrowed for rent. I didn't know how to tell him it wasn't fair for him to buy new things when he owed me money, so instead I just sunk down deeper into my slouch and tried my best to piss Gary off. I asked where he got the boots and then shrugged when he told me as if the store was too uncool to speak of. I asked him, when he applied for jobs to dance at clubs, did they ask about his dancing experience? I knew his weak spots. He was just a kid from the New Jersey suburbs who looked 14 and was barely out of the closet. I shouldn't have lent him the money when it was all I had, but I didn't know those things yet. Lessons in self-preservation would only come later. One day that summer, I was waiting for the subway when somebody suddenly pushed me over, and a woman behind me fell to the ground screaming. The person who pushed me ran down the platform and up the stairs. The woman lay on the platform like a crumpled bag, weeping. I got up and brushed myself off over and over with slow hands, thick hands, not my hands. The woman lay there, injured in ways she could not say, her face scrunched up like a mewing baby. The train came and went, its rumble shaking the platform furiously. My hands like blown up cartoon hands, dry breath in my mouth. This air wasn't mine to take. I could not make my legs go to her. When the train hissed to a stop, again I stepped on. I saw her get smaller and disappear, a fallen form floating down a black tunnel. I got off at my stop. I walked 4 blocks to my apartment, up 6 flights of stairs and over 3 uneven layers of patched floor. Then I sat at the edge of my futon bed and stared at the wall until the voices in my head stopped screaming. When I got up, I made myself a cup of ramen. If Kitten was my mom, I'd call her then. I'd call her up and I'd say, "Mommy, I need you." And she'd tell me to get in a cab right away and come to her, and I would. I'd take a cab straight to the club where she danced, and I'd enter her dressing room without even knocking, and she'd gather me up in her arms and hold me. She'd call me baby and tell me everything was going to be okay. She'd peel the teary strands of hair off my cheek with her long nails. She'd whisper, "Don't worry, baby," and she'd hush me, the bling beauty mark above her lip, winking at me like a hypnotist's eye. Kitten, mommy, safety in these arms, the rhythm of her heartbeat running hard, my own private metronome. Thanks.
This is Greenhill.